What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and today, as of this recording, it is technically the 10-year anniversary of creating this YouTube channel. It's weird to think that it's already been a decade. In that time, I've created all sorts of different videos, from early skits to comedy stuff to things like Let's Plays, and now onto my current content, which is mostly big cool reviews. And it's kind of been interesting watching this platform evolve and change, because let's face it, it's not the way it always has been. I'd say that in many ways YouTube is a lot better and a lot worse. So today, since this is my 10-year anniversary, I kind of just wanted to talk about my thoughts of what I think of this platform now. See, I think it's very interesting because I started uploading 10 years ago, back when I had no teeth, no idea what I was doing, and wearing a really cringy fedora. And back then, almost anything would work. You could really just be anybody, and as long as you learned how to edit a little bit and chop stuff together, you could probably find at least some level of success. That is no longer at all possible. I mean, what happened is, as things have become even easier to do, and now that everybody has a camera in their pocket that can shoot 1080p footage, and there's tons of free programs that let you chop up video, it makes it where everybody is creating, and now we're much more in a battlefield of attention. It's a market where you're trying to get views, you're trying to get attention, but getting out there and being seen is very, very difficult. In that way, obviously YouTube is tougher than it's ever been. Now, if you're just trying to start out today, trying to get any sort of subscribers can feel like an impossible battle, whereas 10 years ago, I saw so many absolutely garbage channels manage to rise to the top. Another big difference is that YouTube has slowly shifted their attention over time to be from views to watch hours, meaning that it wasn't just about trying to make something that was really engaging, it was about making something that would really kind of drag things out. Like, back in the day, animators were really, really huge. It's so funny to think now because animation is almost completely dead, but if you made a really good, like 30-second silly video, it could possibly go viral and get you hundreds of thousands of dollars and a giant audience and maybe a book deal or a TV deal. That's something else that happened a lot in the early YouTube days is people used to get all sorts of TV contracts, which is just almost unheard of today. People like interview YouTubers on CNN or someplace like that, but nobody really just hires people because they're good at internet anymore, which happened back in the day. Things like Picnic Face, the people who made all sorts of viral videos like Power Thirst, they actually got a TV show, and it ended up just only lasting a very short time, and now they're all just trying to be independent comedians. I feel like YouTube in general is better in a lot of ways because I feel like the content has improved. Everybody's kind of figured out what's good and what's bad, but as a YouTuber and somebody who's actually been doing this professionally now for a couple of years, I feel like the toughest thing is that we're seeing a lot of burnout recently. A lot of the top people, the people who are making the most epic grand scale stuff, are actually kind of just getting exhausted, physically pushed past their limit because, let's face it, the algorithm is a lot more brutal than it's ever been. I know a lot of YouTubers talk about the algorithm like it's this evil boogeyman, but let's really kind of talk about the fact that there is definitely a behind-the-scenes series of math equations that determine whether a video is going to be more or less successful. You can make something that's going to be awesome, but if it doesn't really fit into an exact sort of criteria, it might still end up bombing. So one of the main things about it is YouTube really requires now that you just create. You can't take little vacations, and really it makes it where you're almost terrified of even stepping away from YouTube for a couple days. So this is something I've really experienced myself, which is that YouTube almost feels like a bicycle and it's going across real flat ground. You need to keep pedaling it as fast as you can. You can take a little breather and relax for a moment, but as soon as you start losing speed, you gotta work extra hard to get that speed back. That's a really major reason of why you're seeing sometimes YouTubers with millions and millions of subscribers just randomly taking a couple month-long break, is because pedaling that bike does eventually get extremely exhausting. Now, I'm sure a lot of you think like, oh man, I wish my job was making videos, and I'm not gonna lie, it's fantastic. This is the best job ever. But I definitely sympathize with the people who are forced to spend 80 hours a week making 6-7 videos all day, every day. Just play a game, beat a game, write a script, record the audio, make the thumbnail, edit it together, get the footage, put this there, Photoshop that, now do this, send the email for the next game, put that up, add the keywords. It's like, there is definitely this juggling act of creation that definitely grinds you down over time. I feel like I'm lucky in that I create lots of different things. I feel like just by accident, I've created a bunch of different series that you guys all seem to like equally. So I can make a really deep dive review of a game one day, top 10 Thursday, a random time, and then a rant. And each one of these sort of motivates me in different styles. It keeps me really fresh because I'm not just having to do one thing over and over and over. That lack of repetition definitely makes it where I'm able to stay more fresh and come up with more ideas because I'm not worried about just completely hammering out the same product over and over again. I'm definitely not an assembly line YouTuber, and I don't think I ever could be. I definitely feel bad about the people who get stuck doing one genre. Like, if your entire thing is just talking about Stardew Valley and you just talk about it and talk about it and talk about it, I imagine that eventually you are going to hit a mental limit where you just hate that game, but it becomes your job. So I still feel like, in general, YouTube is still probably, I want to say something controversial, which is that I think YouTube, once you've established yourself, I think being a YouTuber now is easier than it was back in the day. Because back in the day, it seemed like everybody was just throwing paint to the wall and seeing what sticks. And once you manage to get a little bit of an audience going and some momentum, it seems like you're just kind of cruising along. But one big mistake could kill your YouTube channel. We actually saw it a lot, especially stuff like Fail Blog, I think they were called. They were trying so hard to make like, okay, here's all of our fails of the week and we're going to do this thing. And then they tried to create a podcast and they murdered their channel instantly. Whereas now, I feel like people get much more invested in YouTubers as people. Like, I can probably make some pretty dumb videos and you guys are going to still listen to me some capacity. Even if you completely disagree with me on something, you're probably not just going to immediately leave the channel and never look at me ever again. If I, for some reason, decided to make something called like, Electronic Arts is actually the best company ever and microtransactions are the future of gaming, you're going to be like, okay, DreamcastGuy is a freaking moron this week, but overall I still agree. Back in the day, people didn't give people that kind of chance. If you made a humongous error and screwed stuff up royally, well, usually your channel just died. I feel like things are definitely a lot different in that once you're established, failing is more difficult. I mean, look at somebody like Jake Paul. That guy is a piece of crap. And Logan Paul, the people are humongous flaming turds of human beings who just keep making perpetually more disgusting mistakes. And people still stick by them because we're in an age now where people get invested in the brand. The people aren't exactly just who they are, it's about establishing this character. I think that we're definitely in a time now where I think that YouTube, even though it's so different, is probably more enjoyable than it's ever been. I definitely think that I like that now the platform is so big, there's such a wide range of content. I'm a big lover of podcasts, and it's so cool that I can watch 3, 4, even 5 podcasts a week that are all so diverse and interesting. People are going to be addressing all sorts of different stuff about the gaming market and industry. I can find people who are obsessed with PlayStation and watch them argue with people who are obsessed with Nintendo, and everybody's making such different and awesome points. We're now in a time so much where I feel like YouTube has kind of entered this heyday where everybody is trying to prove themselves and do something completely unique, which as a byproduct has created so much interesting stuff for the viewer to kind of get to enjoy. But I definitely think that the one super bad thing is that I still think that in general this is a job that manages to break some people mentally. I've definitely seen people who end up being crushed by the idea of YouTube's. Like, there's definitely some streamers who end up just playing and playing and playing until they can only see video games as a job. And I know that that's one of those things that I feel like is hard for some people to understand, but imagine if your job was watching anime and you love anime, you're watching anime for fun all the time. Eventually you're going to hit a point where if you're watching anime and it's not for work, you feel a little bit guilty because you're like, oh man, I should really be working right now. Like, if I watch this next big anime, I could turn it into a video and that'll pay my bills. And that sort of ends up just warping how you think. It becomes very difficult to try and disconnect yourself from it. I definitely talked to YouTubers off the record, so I won't say their name, who talked about the fact that they actually became scared of playing any game not for work. Every single thing had to be on topic. Every single thing they played was not for pleasure, it was only for business. I gotta do the next review, I need to record this next piece of footage, I need to try and conquer this next thing so I can talk about this next topic. And it became this type of thing where they just completely lost the fire. And I feel like that's one way that I've accidentally really kind of beat a lot of these people, which is that gaming to me is still amazing. And I actually make it a point every single night I shut down all my equipment and I just play video games for a couple hours purely for my own enjoyment. I don't record any of it. I don't even think about it when it comes to scripts. I just sit down and play stuff purely because it's going to be funny to me. Like right now, just for the heck of it, I'm actually reviewing Overcooked 2. Let me turn this down so it doesn't get a copyright fit. So I'm like playing Overcooked 2, and this game is like super goofy and hilarious and awesome. But when I'm not playing this, I'm definitely going to be turning on something like Dead Cells or Mario Kart 8 or something that's completely different and completely off camera, completely off the record, to make it where I keep that fire of love inside. I want to make it where no matter how many years I do this, I don't want to lose that spark, because I feel like as soon as I lose that spark, the true love and passion of gaming, I feel like this entire YouTube channel is going to just disintegrate. So it's part of the reason I got this tattoo on my arm a couple months ago, and it says, "We must never ever be boring." This is actually a quote from one of my favorite books by Chuck Palahniuk, and it's something that he talks about, which is that as soon as you stop being interesting, people lose interest in you. And this is kind of the motto of YouTube right now, which is that as long as you stay cool, people are going to find you cool. And for me, the way I stay cool is by loving the stuff I talk about. Video games are my hobby, video games are my life, video games are my job. I'd play them whether anybody was watching or nobody was. That is the fire I keep inside. Essentially, the biggest thing that's changed from YouTube then to YouTube now that I've personally watched unfold is just the fact that now it's definitely one of those things where you have to treat it very seriously. If you want to be a big YouTuber, you need to sit down and tell yourself, all right, I am going to be the best YouTuber I can possibly be. I'm going to learn to edit and constantly try and improve my skills. I'm going to figure out the best way to write scripts. That way I can do something in a completely fresh style and make it where every time somebody clicks my video, it's going to feel like something that's never been done before. And make it where if you're playing games, you're playing to the absolute peak of your ability. That way the clips you use are still going to be awesome to see, even if people don't have the full context of why you're playing it. I feel like YouTube may be harder than it's ever been, but it's still a blast. And I definitely feel like I'm going to be sticking around for years and years and years to come. but these have just been my random off-the-cuff thoughts about YouTube from the past, the present, and maybe the future. But what do you think about it? Have you actually seen this stuff unfold? How long have you been watching YouTube? Tell me all about it in the comments down below, and thanks for watching. This has been a really random video. I promise I'm probably never going to do anything like this ever again. It was just something interesting to celebrate this 10-year anniversary. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting my content over all these long months, weeks, days, hours, everything leading up to this moment. I literally would not be in this seat if it was not for you. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Oh, hey, I was just playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto on my Darth Vader PSP. Are you curious what I'm going to come out with next? Well, if you click this button, you'll be subscribed to be the first to know. Also, if you click over here and here, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. I promise, it was super good. Or it was really bad, and I'm sure you can just make fun of me in the comments. Either way, it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching.